Clyde Edwards-Helaire balled out tonight, but will it be enough to save his job from Le'Veon Bell? Hey guys, so I'm back. I wanted to kind of touch on this a little bit more because if you didn't see the game, I guess I said tonight, but really the game was this afternoon. It was a weird 5 p.m. I guess on the East Coast or whatever, it's tonight. For me on the West Coast, it's this afternoon. But there's a weird 5 p.m. Monday night start because of all the schedule changes with COVID and everything. But the big talk right now, of course, all the talk during the game, they just kept talking about this throughout the whole game, was Buck and Aikman, was the addition of Le'Veon Bell to the Chiefs and what it was going to mean. They talked about it at halftime. It was a big thing. But if you miss the game, Edwards-Helaire ran like a guy who knew they had just signed Le'Veon Bell, right? He 26 carries, 161 yards. He actually scored a touchdown, but had it called back on a holding penalty, which is unfortunate. He also caught 4 passes for 8 yards. Now, in fairness, the Bills, I don't know what that defensive front was doing. Usually they're a good run defense, but the Chiefs' offensive line was opening up massive, massive holes for him. I mean, he ran hard. He looked good, but also the offensive line was opening up massive holes for him. But the big question here is now, did this game, did it save his fantasy value? Did it save him, or is Le'Veon Bell still going to come in and take some of this role and take some of the work for him? And who's going to be the starter? And if you're on Twitter like I am, if you follow fantasy football on Twitter, this is a huge, there's so many people arguing about this right now. It's ridiculous. Don't get into these Twitter arguments, by the way. It's a terrible waste of time. So I just wanted to come in here, give my thoughts and my take after a monster game from Edwards-Helaire and some of the reports we've heard, right? So running backs coach Eric Bieniemy gave Edwards-Helaire a vote of confidence. Basically just told him, hey, you can only control what you can control. Just go out there and do what you can do and control what you can control, and that they like him and that he's been good. But, I mean, come on. What is he going to say? Like, hey, your job's gone. You know what I mean? He hasn't been good. Of course he's going to say all that. Now, he has been good, and I think his job is secure. So I believe Eric Bieniemy. I don't think Eric Bieniemy is lying, but of course he's going to say that. Then there was also a report from Jay Glazer who said that the Chiefs didn't bring Bell in to be the starter. They brought him in to help lighten the load on Edwards-Helaire. I think his exact quote was to take some of the pounding from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And this is pretty much what I talked about on the video I did last Thursday when Le'Veon Bell signed with the Chiefs, that this is what I think it's going to be. I think Edwards-Helaire will still be the starter. And by the way, comment below before I get into this. Comment below what you think. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think Edwards-Helaire is going to still be the starter? Do you think Edwards-Helaire is going to be the guy? Is he going to get the bulk of the work? Is Le'Veon Bell going to be the starter? Is Le'Veon Bell going to get the bulk of the work? Is it going to be a 50-50? Comment below. Let me know what you think is going to happen. But this is what I said last week, and I still think this is going to be true, because you can't just overreact to these monster games and then think, he had a monster game. He's going to be the guy now. I do think they brought Le'Veon Bell to take some of the pounding off Edwards-Helaire, but also they brought Le'Veon Bell in because, hey, guess what? Le'Veon Bell's a really good player. And I know it's easy to look at what he did on the Jets and say he's not any good anymore, but that's not fair. The Jets are terrible. They're beyond terrible. They're one of the worst offenses we've ever seen. So, like I talked about last week, is Bell the guy we know from Pittsburgh? Probably not. But he's probably not also the guy we know from the Jets. He's probably somewhere in between. And that's still pretty good. So I think the Chiefs looked at this as an opportunity to bring in another running back who's got a good skill set that fits their offense, by the way, fits this Andy Reid offense perfectly, and say, hey, now we have 2 guys that we really like in the running, playing behind Mahomes as running backs, just adding to all the weapons that this offense already has, right? This offense loaded with weapons. Now they just have another one. So, yes, I think Edwards-Helaire will technically still be the starter. I also think Le'Veon Bell is going to have a role, and he's going to take work away from Edwards-Helaire. Now, will it be a significant amount of work? That I'm not convinced on. Will it be 50-50? Probably not. I think it's going to be more like 60-40 Edwards-Helaire. I definitely think when it comes to on the ground, I think it's going to be definitely 60-40 Helaire. The issue here is perhaps in the passing game, I could see Bell being more heavily involved. I could see him being the third down guy. One thing about Bell, that he does not get enough credit for is he is a fantastic blocker on third down. He's fantastic in pass protection. And when you got Patrick Mahomes back there, that's a huge thing. So I think he's going to definitely cut into Edwards-Helaire's third down work, but cut into some of his early down work. And even though Edwards-Helaire just had this monster game, and people are going to think now like, oh, Le'Veon Bell's barely going to do anything, especially with this Glazer report. People are spinning this into this big positive, like, hey, this is good for Edwards-Helaire. Look, it's not good for Edwards-Helaire. What would be good for Edwards-Helaire is what we saw tonight. No Le'Veon Bell and just Darrell Williams and Darwin Thompson behind him and getting the bulk of the work and getting to do damage like I thought he would do the rest of the year. This isn't good for Edwards-Helaire, okay? Bell still is good enough. And if he takes some carries away from Edwards-Helaire and he takes the bulk or at least half the receptions away from Edwards-Helaire, that is not going to be good for Edwards-Helaire fantasy value, right? It's just not. So I feel the same, even after this monster game tonight. But I want to hear from you guys. How do you feel after this monster game tonight? Do you feel better about Edwards-Helaire? Are you still nervous about Le'Veon Bell? Where do you think this goes? Do you think at some point Le'Veon Bell could be the starter? Or do you think Edwards-Helaire is just going to run away with this? Let me know in the comments. But again, I still have Edwards-Helaire like that running back 15-ish type range is where I think he'll be like on most given weeks. Obviously in better matchups, he'll bump up. Worst matchups maybe bump down, but right about in that range. And I have Bell in that like 25 range, right? And that could obviously change as time goes on. But as of now, if I had to decide right now, which I do because I'm making this video and I have to decide, I like Edwards-Helaire as like that 15-ish and Bell around that 25-ish. So, and tonight didn't change anything for me. Look, Edwards-Helaire looks fantastic. He was running with burst. There were huge lanes, sure, but he was finding them and he was exploding through them. He was breaking tackles. Maybe that was motivation from the Bell signing. I don't know, but he looked great. But you can't just look at one game and think, oh, all of a sudden the Chiefs aren't going to, like, looked at that and said, oh, we don't need Bell now. No, they brought Bell in for a reason. They're going to use Bell. He's going to get work, and that's going to impact Edwards-Helaire's fantasy value, whether you like it or not. At least that's how I feel. So, again, let me know in the comments how you feel. What do you think? I want to know. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, click that bell notification. We're bringing you videos every day to help you win and dominate your fantasy leagues, along with my other host, Pierre. We bring you waiver wire, start sit, defense streamers. We go live on Sunday morning. We bring you breaking news videos like this, players you should be worried about, players you feel good about, whatever. We bring it all to you. So hit that subscribe button, click that thumbs up. And again, let me know in the comments. Let's get that conversation going. I want to talk to you guys. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.